Greetings. Welcome to another segment of Keep the Beat with Pete. And as we indicated in the thumbnail, we want to just cover today three important aspects of this jazz, funk, soul kind of thing. Sort of the example you heard in the recent cover I did by something else, Vincent Herring, Naima. And I'm going to also put a link down below this one for some of the funk and basic beats that I did, maybe a year or so ago now. A link to those videos where I went into some things in a little bit more detail. But today we're going to cover three bigger items, okay? And we'll get started right away, get right into it. Three big items. We're going to cover the sticking combinations, 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6, that you'd use basically to go on the hi-hat or the snare drum or between hi-hat and snare drum. Secondly, we'll just talk again about the shoop, with opening and closing. And then we'll talk about some of the short or quick rolls that you do to make all this work, okay? So this one will be focused on those 3 areas. So let's just get started right away. Alrighty, so the first thing is, what stickings would you use on the hi-hat? So I'm just putting my metronome on 90 here. I like 80, but 90 is okay too. So singles in 16th notes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason I'm changing the approach of the stick is because musically you have different situations. Sometimes you need the staccato beaded tip, and sometimes you need the okay, like that. Okay. Okay, so singles, then doubles. Okay, and then 3 paradiddles. The regular paradiddle, the inverted, and then I call it like the did apparel. So okay, and naturally if you go to stick control and some of these other permutations type books, but that's one of my favorites and one of Joe Morello's go-to sources there of permutations, basics, page 567. There's a lot of combinations, right? Okay, but just sticking with these 5. Now, that's on the hi-hat. You could do the same thing on the snare drum. Or or paradiddle, or the inverted, or the did apparel, okay? Just sticking with those 5. All right, so now interplay between the hi-hat and the snare drum, the basic ones. What you do is you can gradually build this up if you want to do it as an exercise, and then when you start listening to the music you'll start catching it. So one of the basic ones would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. the doubles. So you get your exercises going. All the okay? And there's substitutions galore that you can make out of this, the doubles and the singles. And then, you know, your paradiddles. On and on and on, but you make your combinations like systematically if you're going to really practice, or you could leave some notes out if it makes it easier. Okay, so then also singles mixed with doubles, doubles mixed with paradiddles, singles mixed with paradiddles, etc., etc. So it's combination after combination after combination. And notice I was leaving the bass drum pretty much on 1 and 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that part of this segment that you want to focus on. The next part is, and I'll mention, it's like hi-hat openings and the Shoop or the Shoop, whatever they call it, that Rick Latham has in Advanced Funk Studies. He has a good segment on that, page 13 and 14. But you know, it's basically what we hear in soul and disco and even jazz, soul, and funk for years. Again, systematically. And a 2 E and a 1 E and a 4 or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, write out your 16th notes, put your accents where you want them, start with the easy. You could do this with just the right hand. You don't, I'm going to say 90% or more people are right-handed, you know, so. So you practice them both ways to get your now you're going back and forth. You're working in singles, doubles, and paradiddles mostly, and you're figuring out in a comfortable way where you need to get that. I call it the shoop, like the Shoop, whatever. Okay. Those two parts of it you have down. And okay, now where would you put the bass drum? Start with just the basics. Either one, some of the bass drum patterns that are very common are the best place to start. It's probably going to be where you're going to be a lot of times anyway. So 1, 2, 4, 4. 1, 2. So we have that in the a video I did recently where we just talked about with the bass drum. But you don't have to get fancy with this. This one is either 1, 2, 3, 4, or like a samba bass drum beat. That's one of them. Sometimes you'll move the bass drum around as you need to for the music. But stick with the basic ones, either 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. One, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1. Can have a ball with the simplest combinations. So you're working on this. Okay, so those elements. Now, finally, what do you hear a lot in, I'm going to say from even in the 60s, but certainly the 70s onward, you get your short rolls, rough rolls and drags. We've covered that. Now they're going. So work on your short rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4. sum it up, keep it nice and short and sweet. Work on the hi-hat, then the snare drum patterns, just singles, doubles, and the 3 paradiddles we talked about. Then get opening and closing. Etc. And then you get over to interplay, hi-hat and snare drum, all the paradiddles, the singles, the doubles, and bass drum patterns. Keep it simple at first, because a lot of times it's going to wind up being simple. Yeah, there are songs with a lot more complicated bass drum patterns, but a lot of times they're not, just as often. Okay? So do that, and then your short rolls again. That's it, short and sweet. You know, when you talk about basics, just as a closing note, I'm a big boxing fan over the years. I've watched a lot of it, and even though I know it's a brutal sport and sometimes there are some sad outcomes there, but like, let's say with headgear anyway. But even boxing training, when you get down to it, no matter how many different fighters there have been over the decades, there's only about 5 or 6 basic punches. And the idea is, how do they combine them? That always fascinated me, that fighter A would have, you know, his 5 or 6 punches. I mean, you know, you cross and jabs, hooks and uppercuts, you know, overhands. Okay, and the other guys got them too, but there's different body motions and there's different combinations and head movements, okay? So it's not like, oh, we need 875 variations here with our bass drum patterns and our hi-hat patterns. There are many, and there's musical situations that may call for different stickings, it flows better and so forth. But a lot of times when you take these basics and you combine them and recombine them and rehash them and mix them and match them so that you can feel comfortable no matter which way you rehash these basics, you're well on the way to flowing and going as a great drummer. Okay? Yes, you work on a lot of things, your tone, your the way your drums are set and all that sort of thing. But I'm just talking from a content vocabulary standpoint, okay? Oh, what's this guy doing? You know, he's got a lot of basic stuff. Yeah, but about 870 different combinations of the 5 or 6 things. So that's kind of where we're at with this particular element, okay? For those of you new to the channel, welcome aboard. For those of you who have been watching for a while, thanks for watching. If you pay close attention to this one, and I'll put some links below that previous funk segments that we did, you'll see that I go into more detail, like with stick control, there's so many different combinations, and we use hands and foot combinations. You know, you can really embellish if you want. And I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for subscribing and following and watching. And I noticed lately that I'm looking at the subscribers, and we're approaching 100,000, which would be like, wow, I just didn't know that, and it's happening pretty fast, so thanks everyone. I'll probably make a separate video when I hit that milestone. I didn't know that that was going to happen within any, you know, time frame that I had set out, but once again, we're trying to help create the beat you keep, so keep the beat with Pete. Peace out, thanks.